All right, welcome to the Mental Performance Playbook, brought to you by the Athletes Health. Take one, getting our coaches back in here. People in the area, I am excited for this one. CJ, Brick,
Yep.
Joseph, from a lot of soccer, a lot of training, you name it, coaching. CJ, if you could give us a quick breakdown of your background, what you're doing right now, because you're double podcasted to, again,
Yeah.
we're bringing on some doubles to start this off, because I'm actually pretty excited to do that, have the good conversations, but get people knowing about the mental game, just how this is being a new thing in Iowa and in the country too, but to try and help more people out. And I think we can get a lot of good information here today. I think we both have some ideas, and then probably I'll twist them more into some of our mental exercises, like what we do at TAH, the Athletes Health. But give us that background, man. What do you got for us as we start this off? And this is going to be a fun ride.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for having me back again.
Yeah.
As we were talking earlier, apparently people want to listen to me ramble. So, but always, always good to be local, helping out local people, especially when we're have pretty similar backgrounds, mindsets.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm originally from Muscatine, Iowa, so it's about an hour away from here, Cedar Rapids. I pretty much played a good chunk of sports growing up. I mainly did soccer though, and I played soccer pretty much the most part through college, where I played at one school for a year when I from 2017 to 2018, and then transferred here to Cedar Rapids and Co. In 2018, and then graduated there in 21 with my biology degree, and then went on to grad school to do my master's in exercise phys. At the same time, got the call back from our head coach at Co to rejoin staff as our second team reserve team coach, where a lot of that is kind of transitioned now to where I'm also with our first team, and I do help kind of on our strength and conditioning side of thing. Along with that, obviously, we talked probably about a year ago.
Yep.
It feels about a year ago.
It was about a year ago, correct.
From since then, I'm with Peak Sports Performance here in Cedar Rapids.
Shout out Drew.
Yeah, shout out Drew, man. And I'm our head of sport performance there. So I've been doing that for probably about a year, and getting back since about April, May, getting back into personal training again. And then I also am one of the girls coaches at girls soccer coaches at Washington High School here in Cedar Rapids.
Dang.
I'm a busy man.
I was going to say, you got a lot under your belt,
Got a lot of hats.
You got a lot under
of
your belt.
Yeah.
You want to pull that slightly closer?
This one?
Yeah. I just want to make sure it's good.
Is it picking up?
No, I think it is, but I just want to make sure.
Yeah, no worries.
We'll see what happens. But no, yeah, you do have a lot of hats going on, dude.
Yeah.
You're juggling all, you're handling it all by the looks at it. I mean, you're here, you're surviving.
Try my best.
One thing I think that would be a great thing for us to start talking about, because everyone's gonna have different ways of doing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
But how do you handle your time blocking this? How are you managing all those different tasks? Those are a lot of different roles that I think are going to come to fruition into more roles that you're really probably chasing that you're wanting to do. Which we'll get into that in a second. But
a lot of it started when I was in high school and just learning how to manage my time. So like, as I said, I played in Muscatine, but when I played club, I played either for a couple of years, I played in the Quad Cities. And then my last couple of years I played club soccer in Iowa City. And so I also have two other brothers who are younger than I am. But our middle brother, Matt, he is a year younger than me, as I said. He and I would go to practice together because we practice one after another. And so we knew, hey, we get home from school at a certain time. We have to leave at a certain time. I would drive to practice. He would do his homework.
How far of a drive was it from?
It's about a half hour, 45 minutes. But I mean, it's still a half hour of travel, regardless. 30 minutes is 30 minutes to do something, So while
that's one way.
Exactly. And so take in mind, like, while I was practicing, so, 90-minute session, he'd be doing his homework and vice versa. And so, it's probably 10 o'clock by the time the last group's done. we still have to at this point in time in our lives, we'd still have to go home, probably eat dinner as soon as we go home. Yeah, try and go to sleep as best as you can because we also were in like our early weightlifting classes at school.
Yeah.
So we would have that starts at 7 o'clock. So we had to be at the school by like 6:45, and so it was easy for us just to make sure that hey, look, we knew what needs to get done and that we can't just put anything off.
Yeah, you make it almost so jam packed,
Yeah.
but to the point of manageable
Yeah.
that you have to do your homework in the car because
Yeah.
that's the only
Oh,
time you
yeah,
can do it.
100%. And like how that's kind of translated now is, and I joke with it with my clients and some of the guys that I'm with, because I'm not at the school all the time.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, you could probably like by the hour, by the minute, find where I am, and that's not even a joke. Like my regular day right now is, I wake up at 5. I have a slow morning. I get to the school at 6. I probably lift till about 8 o'clock. By the time I get home, it's about
You're
5
you're
after.
you're lifting for the 2 hour block?
Yes.
Yeah, you're working out.
Yeah,
Nice.
absolutely. Hey, I gotta practice what I preach, man. I
Yeah,
can't.
no, you do. You
Um,
do.
yeah. So I'll get home around 8ish. By the time I shower, get my bag packed, lunch packed, um, I'm out the door around 8:40 because I have personal training clients from 9 to about 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Depending on the day, some days. Um, so like right now, we're kind of getting back into school. Our guys got back last Wednesday, so Tuesday would be the first day that we're with them. But I have some of the peak guys on Mondays and Wednesdays at like 4:30, so I get a little hour and a half to decompress a little bit.
Mhm.
Not really. It's me sitting in my car trying to get things done. But yeah, so that's like if that's a Monday, Wednesday, and then um, I'm taking on. I also personal train at the Y. So I have some other clients that I don't see till
The
later in
Cedar
the day.
Rapids one?
Yeah,
Yeah, nice.
right downtown. So
Yep.
if you guys need a personal trainer at the Y, hit me up.
Mhm.
But I'm taking on some newer clients that can't. They work 9 to 5, so I might see them once or twice a week at like 5:30. And then I go home and do it all over again. So on like a day where we have our guys that when I'm at co, like they live from 5 to 6, so I have a little longer of a time in between, but I still have to go in early and set up stuff. And so like these last couple weeks, we have another strength and conditioning coach that helps out with men's soccer also. So
At Co.
yep.
Yeah.
So a lot of us just trying to making sure we got everything in line now. So we've kind of mapped out our this next 8 weeks of what that looks like before the guys get back out on the field.
So for your Co, and then I would assume for a lot of your other places too, you have a plan already distilled in it. You
Oh, I
because you
kind of
just said
have to.
you got 8 weeks built out.
Yeah, it makes the progressions easier.
Yeah.
It's going into you have to look at things long term with short term goals. Like, oh hey, like ideally, it's like, and I would say old school, but like most of the time,
Like
and
that.
depending in programs, like at least like in our high school weightlifting program, where you know we would do our max outs the first couple days when we get back, so we knew what our baseline numbers
Mhm.
were, and then we go probably about spring break, we do max outs to see where that improvement is. So there's a legitimate progression pattern, so that we know how to structure things and so that we can track. We're not just, oh, hey, slapping things left and right
Yeah.
together with it not making any sense.
No, you have the progressions already built in
Absolutely.
for the weightlifting that you guys are doing
Yep.
there.
Speed progressions, weightlifting progressions. And this isn't just with
All of it. Probably recovery too.
yeah.
Yeah, you build it all out.
Yeah. So like they know their days, like the days that they're with us, the days that they don't, they can go in and stretch if they really need to, or those are the days where they can kind of do their own thing. But again, this isn't just with our co guys. Like I do this with the peak guys.
Mhm.
I do this like we just started a couple weeks ago. Our girls at Wash meet one day a week on Wednesdays, and so they have kind of a plan of action that what they're going to go for, because their first week of training is around spring, whatever spring break is for the high schools.
So let me ask you this, because obviously from the coaches side and the team side, what you're bringing, it's your job to bring the season, the program, plan it, have it all there,
Yeah.
right? That's what you're supposed to do. One thing that I've seen from now working with a lot more families
Mm-hmm.
and then programs and everywhere else is this planning piece, right? Like I
Yeah.
didn't know we were going to talk about this coming in, but I think this is a super important piece because there's certain, and by the way, sidetrack, a lot of this messaging now, maybe you've known this now being in the industry more
Mm.
now than last year. A lot has changed,
Yeah.
but I talk a lot more to the parents now
Yeah.
and the athletes still
Yeah.
because the
I think,
athletes take from it,
yeah,
but it's important
especially,
to
I
talk
mean,
to the parents who are the game changers. Shout
yeah.
out. Um, and where I was going with that, the planning piece,
Uh-huh.
I have now ran across some, not everyone, but some who there's not much planning going into it,
Mhm.
into their going to this place tonight, that place
Yeah.
tomorrow night, and it just it's helter skelter.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Two parts I'm saying this before is one, obviously that's a little more stress, I think, and research will show if there's not a routine to it, if you're all over the map, it's
Yeah.
going to be more stressful. But also I think it's harder to comprehend, harder to utilize. So what I was going to bring up here and get your perspective on this
Mhm.
is how important is it for like parents, even I mean their kids at college, but their kids at high school, middle
Whatever
school,
the case
whatever,
may be, yeah.
to try and find some structure, some routine of what to do in the ever constant changing routine. And what are some ways possibly that they could do it if you know of any? I'm going to think of some too.
Yeah.
But so
So,
like how important is it? And then what are some things that we can brainstorm right here, right now
yeah. I
to help it?
mean, I think I know, like when I was home, I kind of go back into, what, about 6 years ago now, which is weird to say when everyone was locked up at home. Um, where, especially like parents, obviously no one's going anywhere, but just to have a structure throughout the day, because it's like I was in my senior year of college, and like I was home, but there wasn't a structure. Like it's not like, oh, you had class. Like some professors, oh, we are going to meet on Zoom, and they were still navigating it in a weird way. But I think having a routine is so important, just because you kind of know how you're planning your day. Like,
Mm-hmm.
especially and with parents, and I can go to my parents where like it wasn't just my brother and I. Like I have another brother who is 6 years younger than me. So funny enough, he's actually going to graduate at Co this year. Um,
Nice.
but he, my mom would have to take him to places, and so it was like, oh hey, you guys got to go do this. When she'd be talking to my dad, like, hey, John's got training at XYZ time. I know you come home at this. Try and prep as far as dinner, or she would come home and just chop vegetables real quick, put them in a dish, and then she'd call my dad and say, "Hey, like everything's already prepped. Just I'll call you
Oh
when
yeah.
we're, you know, 20 minutes away." So like where my parents live in Muscatine, it's about 10ish minutes, uh, 10ish minutes away is a very small town called Moscow, and so that's how we would, if like I was coming home or my brother was coming home or my mom, like it'd be like, hey, like that's how they know, hey, start dinner, because by the time you get home, it'll be done.
It's done. And then
Um,
you're there,
yeah,
ready to eat.
exactly.
What a
Oh,
luxury.
100%.
A luxury.
Yeah,
Putting the
and
prep and prepared, eh?
absolutely. And I think, and it does that. You're preparing everything. Like today, um, Sunday for me is I don't do anything. Like when I tell you I went to church, I got my groceries, I sat and watched the Patriots game, and like I did all my meal prep for the week, just because I know I don't want to come cook at a full meal at 7 o'clock
Oh
at night.
man, you're telling me.
um, but it's just having those little steps done earlier that make it down the line so much easier.
It's something that um it's a topic that I think is very important and I think can be very utilized
Yeah.
in performance itself for like prepping before games or
Yeah.
performances, practices, even
Yeah,
having a
100%. Like a little mental checklist.
yeah, I call it almost like a preset because then
Yeah.
you got to
It's
reset too.
your routine, yeah.
If you got to reset
That's
when
that's
something's
that's how
wrong.
I was when I was playing. Like I was the first guy in the locker room.
Mm.
Like I'd go get into our training kits. I would go into the weight room. I do my rollouts, I do my bands. Because I knew, and granted I was 22, I shouldn't be getting super duper tight after a session at 22, even with the cooldown. But hey, look, if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? But I remember one of my good buddies now, he would just always give me slack for it. He'd be like, "Oh, you go do your bands today?" I was like, "Yes, I
Yeah,
did."
yeah, I'm
I was
gonna go
like,
do my
"Yeah, you're
bands.
19 and you can run like a little Bambi, and just wait till you get older when your hip decides it doesn't want to do anything anymore." Yeah.
I know the prehab is important, and so I talk actually. Well, that see, that's a whole different topic that I think is actually good to get into. No, listen, because there's a couple athletes that I work with
Yeah.
and baseball players.
Yeah.
So that's a
Oh yeah.
lot of tension, stress on the arm, a lot of
Yes.
work put into it, and they are supposed to be doing prehab. Now,
Yeah.
whenever I work with people,
Yeah.
I talk to
You do
every
you
once
do
in a while.
your
I meet with the parents,
yeah.
so I get a little more understanding of what is happening,
Yeah.
besides just the kid's perspective, athlete's perspective.
Hmm.
But the parent was like, "Yeah, we're not doing the prehab at all. Like we're supposed to be doing. We got baseball season coming up. Like
Yeah,
we
should
need to do
have.
it
It's
now."
one of those things. Yeah.
But the reason I'm bringing it up is I think it's very important to try and show the forecasted future in the present moment because
Absolutely.
people
No
oftentimes
one thinks long
the
term.
present is hard to be in, even though it's a gift. I tell our athletes it's a gift, but it's hard. It's hard to be in. A
Yeah.
lot of people don't think in it.
Yeah.
They think broad, just blurry future
Yeah.
or crystal clear past.
Yeah.
It's
It's not.
dangerous.
It's not how that works. Like, there's steps to everything,
Yeah.
and like even with my guys at peak, like they go through their routines. Like even though like right now we're doing a lot of sprinting, in agility training, just a couple of those guys will be playing high school ball, um, in the spring. One at Xavier, one at Marion, and one at Linmar. And so a lot of this is my framing, and I probably planned this going into September was this
Hmm.
period. Hey, like this is there's not a lot of soccer volume for them, as far as their club team trainings, but if we can kind of load it with a lot more stress as far as weight room stress, um, stressors, not stressors, or vice versa.
What's the
They
difference?
could, one is not good. One's you need the stress for it. I might have got those backwards. So, but point is, they know they're like sprinting just does a lot on the body for one, but it's also
Yeah.
very neurologically taxing.
Mhm.
Um, with that said, like they know, like I'm never gonna. They go through their warm up. They go through a speed, quickness, agility little warm up. We we probably won't sprint till the last 15 minutes of a session. And it's more so like they'll go through their ground prep and mobility prep. We go through all of our steps for sprinting. Um, Mechanics wise, making sure everything down to the T is where we want it to be so that we can have a better outcome, uh, going into the sprints.
And that is pretty synergistic to, because I'm going to put a bow on this. That's pretty synergistic to
Yeah.
like soccer itself,
Yeah.
your soccer warm ups,
Oh
right?
yeah, 100%.
Uh,
Like I mean, our guys like our game day warm up, like they they do their dynamic. They'll get a little passing pattern. They'll go into a little small sided possession, and then a couple of the guys will go shoot. But it's all a big thing, that I remember. I had one of my teammates tell me when I was in high school. Uh, Good big old Nick Hilton. He always would say, "Get your bad touches out now."
yeah.
In the warm up, get the bad touches out in the warm up. Because the moment that Um, you know, that whistle blows. It's got to be 100% short, sharp. The mistake is, and it might be exaggerated. It's a life or death. Uh, it could be the difference of winning or losing. I've seen it happen on both ends. I've been on both ends. It's not fun.
That prep piece, I want to get your perspective on this
Yeah,
because
for sure.
I was just watching a video
Yeah.
on public speaking.
Okay.
Right, it was a TED talk. I
Ooh,
was told,
love a good TED talk.
oh yeah, that study them. They're great.
Yeah.
They are great. But this one was public speaking, and the guy said he left the audience with warm ups that they can do if they're ever wanting,
stuck.
if they're ever going to talk in front of one person, in front of 5 people, in front of 1,000, 10,000. Doesn't matter. He had some warm ups, and this is like a 40+ million viewed TED talk. Okay, so it's a very popular one. But he ran them all through warm ups before they would do his speech. I say that because for your soccer, you had a warm up. For the just speed and agility, you have a warm up. For strength training at Co, you probably have a slightly different warm up, but they all have warm ups.
Yeah.
And this is the thing that I'm pressing at, because the whole point of what I'm really trying to bring to the table here this next year is the awareness factor of this mental training.
Yeah.
And there should be some type of warm up.
Yeah.
As in, like before the game, one thing I was going to ask you was, when are you actually dialed in, just from your experience and then all the people you coach now across different levels for a game? At what point are you supposed to be, that just your subjective thought, dialed in for the game? Like, okay, is it when the whistle blows? Is it before the whistle blows? Is it that morning? What are your thoughts?
I get giddy on game days. When I was playing, I remember I'd be in class. I'm like, I don't even want to be here. Like, I just want to have the game. And like to this day, if it's a big game, like I'm still gonna get giddy. I remember, like for me, like when I would go through my thing, like when everything started would be, like when I'm probably the night before.
Okay.
Where, that training, when I was playing, a lot of our training the day before was like walkthroughs, where it was like, okay, hey, we're going to walk through, like we would have just watched film on whoever we're playing. And so that we've prepped, as a coaching staff, they would have prepped these sessions 2-3 days before, so that we're not just going into the game and we're like, oh, hey, like we've watched them on film. These are their tendencies. Be aware of them. And so we kind of practice for that, but also practice what we need to do. As far as
you probably do that now as a coach, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm a big fan of walkthroughs. We need, and all that other progression. Like, those are things you don't just go and prep. As a coach, you don't want to go prep the day before. It starts earlier. Like we have scouts that you do.
I was gonna say the day before. Hopefully you're prepped. So you're doing the scouts, right?
We're getting the scouts probably the day before, but as players, but as or 2 days before, but as coaches, that's
much.
We're paying attention year round.
And I think that goes back again to the audience here who we've been working a lot with, like high school, middle school. Parents are prepping. Parents equivalent to the coach, athletes still equivalent athlete. Farther in advance prep for what is coming up. I think that is in all regards, for the physical stuff, for the mental stuff. I think
it's all life thing. It's not just allocated to athletics or whatever.
You're right. Yeah, all life. It's the other pieces that they're in, because it's all important, but sometimes. Not even sometimes. I know, because I've heard and seen this, that the athletic side gets a front end view quite often, which is not bad. But
and I will tell you, like, I was also a music kid growing up. I was in orchestra all through probably 5th grade through senior year of high school. Muscatine when I was there.
It's good for you.
Yeah. Oh, I attribute probably a good chunk of being a musician, if you could even call it that, to my music career, um, to coaching. I think it helped in a lot of things. I see a performance almost as a match where
Oh,
you know we know
100%.
we have when to push, when to pull. Like if we're getting like you see the buildup, that's like a crescendo. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, where I can pick and pull little things. Um, where if you listen to certain symphonies, you have that dynamic contrast of things. But even then, like as we were talking about, just prepping, like we had an orchestra director, um, and I remember he would give us the piece, so we would have a concert probably the next day. After the concert, we get our new music, and
Mhm.
we're sight reading. And we called those train wreck days because we so just by a little background behind it, but we were probably one of the best orchestras, at least when I was in Muscatine, in at least Eastern Iowa, where we were probably the biggest one too. Most orchestras, I think at the time, probably had about 40 or 50.
Mhm.
Muscatine had like 80. So we had double the size. So from a director
What did
standpoint,
you play?
I was a violin. Wasn't great, but wasn't bad. So
Mhm.
I got by real well. But we'd so like from a director standpoint, like it's probably 80 guys. That's almost like coaching a football team, like an American football team, where
Mhm.
you got
Yeah.
to have a lot of things, especially like in sections. Everything has to go well to make the sound complete. Um, but we'd have these train wreck days where it sounded terrible, and that's fine. It's day one, but by the week or two before the concert, it's practically perfect. Nothing's ever perfect, but close enough to. But like that way that we prepared, I mean, just in the 4 years alone that I was there, um, we got a division. We would have this big competition. We just called it Big Group, um,
Mhm.
in Bettendorf, and every year that Muscatine was there, we got a Division One rating, which is one of the better. What's the best rating we
Yeah,
can
yeah,
get?
that's the best.
And then I think we got Best in Show. I know for a fact once, but I think we got it twice. But same concept. We prep. We knew we had a bad skill.
Mhm.
We had to prepare for that. We practiced certain parts, certain runs, um, and then perform them to get to the end game.
Your piece on the performance days is huge. It's game changing.
Yeah,
If all aspects, all sides of who supports an athlete knows about that,
yeah,
it makes a game
yeah,
changing difference. The other piece that you were just talking about, because you just summed up the prepping up to the part, and then all of a sudden you got a whole new vision, a whole new thing that you're
yeah.
casting towards it. Now you got to sit back down. You're a little higher up because you already did your concert, but now you got to climb to the next one.
Yeah,
Um,
highs and lows, man.
I call them mountain goals. Keep them going.
Ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low.
Yeah. But the other piece that you just said that I think is huge. Once again, if we look back to all the support and all the pieces, you said all the pieces in the symphony. I've not used this metaphor before, but I think this is great. There's
Yeah,
so many pieces to it, but for the band, the unit
yeah,
to perform, to be best in show,
yeah,
all the pieces need to be strung together and
yeah,
need to work real good together.
yeah,
Otherwise, that end masterpiece isn't going to work.
yeah.
It's crazy.
Absolutely. And especially again, just attributing back to that, like because we had a big orchestra, we'd have to practice in a bigger room. So,
Mhm.
you know, probably a lot of the stuff back coming forward sounds laggy. And so it's like, oh, hey, maybe start everything maybe a half second earlier
Oh,
so
small
that
details.
it gets to when, oh, you started early, but they're going to start it on time to where it sounds uh, together.
So let's break this down because you're talking about small details. This is
Yes.
another huge topic. Everyone has different personalities, right?
Yeah.
I definitely I have to work on certain points being okay with like a draft being okay.
Yeah.
Like not everything's going to be perfect.
Yes.
Um this so it's a bunch of small details that
Hmm.
sometimes you want to look at and all of them being perfect. This is a great idea. You're talking about the niches of details. And
Nitpicky.
yeah, nitpicky. But I'm wondering, I want to get your perspective on this in the training, because then I'm going to tie it into some more. I mean, that is already a mental topic, but I'm going to tie it into specific something.
Yeah.
Are there points when you don't have to be as detail oriented, or do you think you're always detail oriented? I think you can argue both.
Yeah.
But I want to get your perspective on this.
I think when teaching a new skill, depending on what that is, you'd have to like starting out like if I'm teaching you so like with a lot of my personal training clients, I have a certain progression of how we do squats.
Yeah.
Because I do work with 70-year-old people, I work with 30-year-old people, I work with kids. So for them it's again built learning, like being critical at the foundation part first, where it's like, oh, here are your cues, feet, legs are about hip shoulder width apart, um dropping my hips, almost imagine like they're sitting in a chair. So
Yeah.
giving them something to kind of relate it to, um, and being detail oriented in the earliest of the progressions, because then let's just say, oh, we go throw them under a back squat with just the bar. At this point, they've gone through, oh, hey, like we've done a body weight squat, we've done it with or like some people I usually start with like having the bench under them, so they have how deep you should go.
Okay. So
And then it's
they
like,
at least can get parallel.
yes, yeah, it's not like, oh, I'm moving in this much and it's, yeah, hey, you're down. But it's to know they know kind of where it is. And then it's, hey, we're taking the bench out, we're going to add a dumbbell for you to hold, and then we can increase that weight in the dumbbell so that they have a little confidence with, oh, I can start moving something that's a little heavier, moderately heavy, and then going to teach them on like a Smith machine, just because with the Smith machine it is just a regular, there's no natural bar movement, it only moves up and down, so they can still kind of feel more so what a bar feels like on their back. And then you go into uh, it's like a cat. Go under a barbell. So that at this point they know their cues. So probably earlier on in the process, being absolutely getting the details down. And then even like when you're again using like a squat, even when they're at the barbell, like still running through your cues, but it's not so much focused on them. Just know, hey, these are my setup, and then I go do my rep. And then just even as a coach, like making sure that when if it's a passing drill or whatever, like little details, like, oh, if we're checking off the cone, checking our shoulder, trying to make it almost like game like habits as possible, because the one time you don't check your shoulder, that's going to be the one time you get absolutely nailed in the back, and then you turn the ball over.
I'm thinking with that well, first off, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know how to squat, Brick just broke you down how to progress through your squats. I've done my fair share of training back in the days.
I'm very meticulous, to say the least.
I like that. So. That brings me that makes me think about this, where you are just totally breaking down the progression.
Yeah.
I'm thinking back, and you attest to this because you've worked with athletes across different fields.
Yeah, for sure.
There's going to be times, this is going to bring me into the mental side again, where they just don't have confidence. I hear their confidence isn't here, or I call it the wave rider. Like they're super high one time and then they're super low the next. There's a lot of different personalities with it, but attention to detail, the progression piece. I hear a lot that they're like they just need to do that. But this is where I want to.
What is it? What does just need to do that?
Yeah. I want to break that down, so people like listening know this too, and they understand this, that there's progressions to that. And so this is where I'm gonna get your perspective through maybe some things you've seen, but it is not, and obviously anyone who, this is where that awareness piece comes from. Like if something seems a little off, it is not as easy as just saying, hey, get over it, move on, because that's where that's like when people eventually find us. They're like,
Yeah.
I'm telling them that, and they're not figuring out. Like,
Yeah.
well, there's progressions to it.
Yeah.
There's pieces, levels to
Exactly.
it,
Absolutely.
and those are the different things that we need to train and put into
Yeah.
perspective.
And I think the reason I have progressions is to instill confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we want to make sure that, like, I have a lady that I train. I started with her probably in September or October. She, I work with a couple people also, not just her, but
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
she like in the same group where she's in NA, like AA, but for narcotics.
Okay.
But so a lot of it is not just so. Funny enough, it's not all just physical for her. Yeah, that's a byproduct of it, but she relates this a lot to those where, hey, I have gratitude that I showed up and I get to do this and I have to do the hard
It's
thing.
important.
Um, so that like she's been able to do new things that she didn't think that she could do, because she's been able to go through the progressions and do them confidently in her eyes.
And I don't want to lose the original thought. Back to the detail piece and back to my examples of like, oh, they don't have confidence, or
Yeah.
your examples of squatting, or your examples of
Yeah.
just gratitude, is the detail piece. I could definitely argue it either way, that you focus on the details all the time or you don't. But what I want to get at is certain spots, certain levels, you have different details that you focus on.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing huge that we're kind
Yeah.
of talking about here. And it's, what level are you at right then to have what details you need to
Yeah.
focus on. Not
Absolutely.
everyone knows those details. But like
Until
someone
you
like a
yeah.
professional, like someone
Yeah.
who's in it, knows the next squat progression to do, or
Yeah.
the just next progression when
Yeah.
whatever it is. It's
Yeah. No.
important.
Especially like again, let's just use the squat analogy
Yeah.
where, you know, there's certain things that you're worried about at a body weight squat versus a goblet squat because we're adding a new variable.
Yeah.
Versus so like learning how to brace your core. Because now that we have a weight, we need to be able to create pressure. With that said, that like bracing of the core, um, that also goes. That's not just a squat skill. That's a thing that we have to do for everything. So
Oh yeah.
one of the things, especially when we do our exercises, is trying to relate to things. If I show them a new exercise, that they know. So it's just like, oh hey, brace your core just like you did with XYZ exercise. Or like similar movement patterns, like with rowing, like versus like a cable row versus TRX, where one is using external weights with a cable, the other one you're using your own body weight.
Mhm.
But a cue I have for that is, hey, imagine my fingers are in your back, close your shoulder blades on my finger, and drive our elbows back, so that they can kind of relate to, oh, hey, I know how to do it. Um, Even though it might seem like it's a different means of, oh hey, the exercise is a little different but it's the same.
But you can still bring the whole
Yeah,
idea back
it
to
comes
that.
back to the foundations.
Mm-hmm.
You got to build foundations like the roots of a tree, otherwise tree's gonna fall.
Yeah, and then they blossom from it, eh?
Timber. Yeah.
They blossom from it, they pick it up.
Yeah.
I think it's a huge piece. One thing that I knew I wanted to talk to you about was, well, two parts here, and I'm going to start with the A and then go to the B. A is do you see anything in any of the levels that maybe seems like a smaller detail, like it's a smaller piece, but it progresses, it snowballs, it turns into a bigger problem, a bigger thing? Not always problem, but we can call it weakness, whatever we need to call. Like it can be in soccer at the weight room, the speed and agility at PT.
Yeah.
But then from there, I wanted to get like one or two of your go-to kind of like mental resets, mental exercise, tricks and tips. Yeah, that's the right
Trip
word.
over your words, right?
Yeah, that you use for that. So like, what any small details that turn into big problems or weaknesses, and then how do you help that out?
I think the big thing is, and I was guilty as it, at, I was guilty of it when I played was, and funny enough, I learned this in grad school
Okay.
when we were talking about muscles, because I'm a giant nerd. Um, when we talk about the speed of doing an exercise, intent matters. Um, so when we talk about
Intent matters.
muscularly, like we're doing something, if we want to do it really fast, we want to do it really fast because it's good for the neuron firing pattern. So that muscle memory, oh hey, I got to go super fast, like if we're sprinting. Um, but that's for everything. Like, you know,
What is for everything?
intent
Intent?
matters.
Yep.
Intent matters.
Okay, I like that
We're
theme.
warming up. If you're warming up for your session, like, hey, this is the intent matters because I don't want to get hurt in the session. Or we're going through our weight room warm up. A lot of these are going to, the intent of it is to make sure that we're going through the movements that we would go through in our session, so that you're without getting too nerdy, um, to potentiate the action. But
To
intent
make stuff happen.
absolutely.
It's another way to say that one.
Intent matters, and as I said, this isn't just a neuromuscular thing. This or a physiology thing. This is a life thing. Like, depending on whatever the case may be, intent matters. Like, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I'm not just there. There's a quote from Matthew McConaughey, in Green Lights.
I was going to say Green Lights.
Yeah. Don't half-ass it. Don't half-ass it. That goes back to intent matters.
I think intent matters at the very start of our podcast when we were talking about scheduling out the calendar and the day.
Yes.
I think intent goes behind each block that you have on there. Each block of the day of even your travels, you had to get the intent of drive time is whoever's not driving is homework time.
Yeah.
And in your car, when you're working, because you're just going from one space to the next, but that's your office for that time, intent matters there because you got choices and you can either be scrolling and doom scrolling, or you can be building up the repertoire, the mind.
There's
what
consequences to actions. Hey, you do your work, you do your homework in the car, you're good. If you don't do it, you have to come home and do it, and then you don't get to sleep, and then you're tired, and then it's a snowball cycle of madness.
I don't like the snowball. I like to stop the snowball.
Yeah, we don't want snowballs.
And that comes back to all the things I like to do. If you had some in the weight room or anywhere else, you have go-to exercises. I want to flip the script and go into some go-to like mental frames or mental thoughts. I mean, you already just hit us with one, that intent matters. I think that's a huge one. But do you have any other go-tos? Any things that you like to say? Any off the top of your mind that you use a lot? You got one more. You got, who's that? Nick Bear? Yeah. That's probably one that you have that you use.
It's the one more rep, one more whatever, one more sprint. I would say not so much now. I'm so very much into my routine that I kind of know things. I remember when I was playing, it's my first year I went to a school where there were a lot of overseas kids, and this was kind of how those professional basketball have their welcome to the NBA moment. I had my welcome to Division III soccer, and college soccer, I guess, but whatever. Like, I wasn't playing, and I was like, these guys are great. They were good quality guys, and that's where it was like, oh hey, like this means business. Like, this isn't just like I was not playing against Americans. I was playing against the entire world. And so it's one of those things, like, I remember, and it probably started that year where I'd get up really early and go to the gym. And that's why I like waking up at 5 a.m. now.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but this specific one got to me. But kind of a sidebar that goes along with this, I had the opportunity to go to China when I was like 15. So I got to spend 6 weeks in China just after my freshman year of high school. And so, for reference, they're about 12 hours ahead of us.
What was it for?
It was for it's like during the Obama administration, they had this thing called 100,000 Strong. So it was like Chinese would send over their students to kind of learn about things and I think it had to do with like clean energy because that's why we went over there. And
Cool.
so we got to go to a school and learn Chinese and learn about how these certain companies are promoting different ways of power, like solar power
Mm-hmm.
and hydro energy in China.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, anyway, it's a
Yeah.
12
My
hour time.
bad.
No. 12-hour time difference.
Yeah.
So, again, me when I was 19, 20 years old, I'm getting up early. I'm like, it's XYZ time in Japan. There's a kid that's already doing this.
It's true.
So I need to catch up
That's what I was going to ask you. How do you get up at 5 a.m. every day?
with an alarm. I don't know. I just really liked it. I'm a slow morning kind of person. And especially when starting personal training and stuff, I realized like I can't work out in the middle of the day because that's when people want to do things.
Yeah.
So like I work out early or really late because that time is devoted to those people.
Mm-hmm.
But I get my slow mornings. Like that is probably the 3 hours I get to myself. A little solitude. It's quiet. Just like it was nice without having anyone on campus the last like month.
Yeah.
Because
That'll change soon.
yeah. Um, but it was nice. Like some days I'd be in there just by myself and I didn't even have to turn on the music. I would just half lights the weight room and
Oh,
just
yeah.
listen to the sound of barbells and dumbbells hitting the ground. And as weird as it is, just me sitting there fighting my demons. But
I had my fifth year at Iowa State when I was finishing my master's. Me and this another girl in my program actually, we were running. She was the head. I was helping out.
yeah.
This fitness lab.
Okay.
And but we had keys to it, so we would go to that gym in
Yeah.
the kinesiology building whenever we wanted. We'd work out in there all the
Yeah.
time. It is so cool to
It's
have
so
your
nice. Yeah.
own your
Just quiet.
whole gym to yourself, and
Yeah.
you can play whatever. And yeah, your own
It's
demons are
quiet.
right there. I just think of, I know, I remember someone who was on this earlier. This is making me remember why I like doing this because I haven't done the guest for a while. But he was actually in high school. Now he's D1 for track. But he told me that he would get up in the morning and like because he had an injury or something. He would get up at 4 a.m. This is a high schooler and just be dripping sweat in his basement doing what he could do. And his dad would come down, heard like rustling, thought someone was like an intruder, and saw him and was just like shook his head and was like, "What are you doing?" and went back to bed. But it's that demon piece that you're talking about. That's why I brought that up because I think that's huge. And I don't think this is one thing I found too. You can't really help someone find or fight that demon of motivation. They either
unless they want to do it. Like
yeah
it's
yeah
gotta be
they have to
they
have to do it. Like they either need to find it themselves or they want to find it themselves.
Yeah.
But you can't really because I'm just thinking back to some people I know they're like, oh, they just don't have it, or we're doing this and they're just losing. And I'm like, there's only so much that you can instill in that.
They as a person got to come face to face with that. Like
Yeah.
as I kind of say that, like I was a big Kobe kid growing up.
Oh yeah.
Big Kobe fan, even though I'm a Clippers fan. But it's tough times. But he was one of the people that like the way that he trained translated into his gameplay, where the concept of, oh hey, look, he would get up at he'd be probably training some of these guys that would go work with him now. Like I remember I was listening to a story of Gordon Hayward. He would go train with Kobe and Kobe's already there dripping sweat.
Yeah. I don't remember that one. That's awesome.
But he's mapped out his day and like where it was like, oh, I'll get up at 4, I can have 2 hours of training here. I get a little break. I have 2 hours of training here.
Mm-hmm.
And he does it all over again. And this is what he did probably in the latter half of his career. But the principles that I was saying goes back to where, hey, intent matters. Like you're going to train and you train those shots, which are shots that he would take. So it's not like he was just like, oh, I'm going to go shoot. He shot it with the intent of, oh, I get XYZ amount of makes here at this speed.
And how do you work, just from your personal experience? How do you work on intent?
I think for me, um, it's almost trying to manipulate it through speed. Like one thing that I like to do, especially in the winter now, um, if a lot of the time you can go play wall ball, just kicking off a wall, but you can
Yeah.
hear how fast, like almost like a metronome, like so keeping pace with that, that's gonna, you can if you can move at that pace and being able to play at that pace, it'll translate over. So then you're
Mhm.
like, oh, like one, knock, 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 knock. Granted, as I said, when I say soccer is very similar to a symphony piece where there's
Mhm.
pushing and pulling, yes, there's gonna have that. But hey, that's a whole team aspect of things.
Yeah. Then you're thinking about, so when you're working with intent, you're thinking about outcome
Yeah.
is one big thing that you're
So yeah,
doing to
so
help
a
it.
big thing right now with especially more as I kind of go into sprint training is again the intent of putting our foot in the ground so we can go against the force to go forward. So like a good cue that I would use is squash the bug. Like if you see a bug when people get like stomp on it, like that's the kind of force I want you to put into the ground. So
Mhm.
relating to again a general public person, where so if I work with an athlete or general public, like they know, hey, foot hard in the ground to go up.
Yeah. I think that's just a super important topic of whenever anyone would have questions or like why this outcome or why that. I think understanding first off what the intent is,
Yeah,
but then second off how to breed that intent,
yeah,
how to make it happen, and then that ties even back to those demons that you're talking about.
yeah,
So there's more intent there, if there's more reasoning, if there's more logic and desire and drive,
yep,
then it's going to be easier to
yes,
do that.
yeah. And another thing, kind of funny enough, another Nick Bear quote is that if it's important to you, you'll make time to do it. Um, so and some of these athletes where they're like, oh, I don't really feel like going to do it, but it's like if it's important to you, you'll make time to go get those touches or go on that run or
Hmm.
go lift weights. Um, so if it's important to you, you'll find time to do it. And even as kids, if you wanted to go do something with your friends in middle school, like you would find time to do it. And then when you would, and if your parents were like, "Oh no, we have this to," you try and go and do that as fast as you could, so you could be able to go do what you wanted to do.
Yeah, you accelerate the certain things. So
Yeah.
that's actually a great reference where I'm just thinking in so many
Yeah. So
instances.
parents, if you know why your kid wants to suddenly help clean the table, you should probably ask them what they want to go do.
Great change of advice, of perspective, because if I think that's also an important piece that I think is important of knocking off you don't always do this, but knock off the things that you have to do that
Yeah.
you know you like needs done, like your
The
schoolwork
time
needs
consuming.
done, or if it's time consuming, whatever the piece is. For me, I'm always thinking, like yesterday I had to clean up a good amount, because I had some more new shelves and whatnot,
Yeah.
and I wasn't wanting to clean up. But so I did that the very first thing because I knew some of the other things that I wanted to do,
Didn't take a
I
lot of
would
time.
then rush into it. No, it took quite a lot of time, actually. It took quite a lot of time.
Right.
But I knew if I didn't do it right away, I wasn't going to do it.
Hmm.
And it goes back into you saying, oh, clean the table before you go out hang with your friends,
Yeah.
because otherwise you might not even do it. But there's all the pieces to the puzzle that we have to think about, and you have to put in perspective and relate to. And once again, for your symphony, put it all together for that master class, masterpiece.
Yeah.
Um, CJ, while we start wrapping it up here, what's some big take homes? What's some big lessons learned this last year or so? Because I didn't even get
Yeah.
to ask you that one. I know
Yeah.
it's been a whole year. What's something that you'd want to drop on people that if you had the mic, you would want them to walk away with or to use?
Yeah. So this year has been interesting for me. For the people that haven't, that don't really know me, or do know me. At the
Hmm.
time that I actually recorded with you, and I'm very open about it now. At the time, I wasn't, because I was still kind of coming to terms with it. I had worked for a company here at Cedar Rapids, for 2 years, and then got laid off right before Christmas. So, um, for all purposes, that was kind of my rock bottom. Like
Hmm.
I wouldn't say I was scared, but I was very much like, oh, hey, I was playing it day by day, month by month, where, oh, hey, I'm not getting interviews because it's expensive to live by yourself.
Yeah,
But,
it is.
just kind of evaluating options. And one thing literally for me is because as much as I like to plan ahead and try and have things, I think learning to just be present,
Back to our present. It's a
be
gift.
learning
It is a
learning to
gift.
be in the spot and just say, hey, um, you know, this is just how it is today. Tomorrow will be better. And taking everything one step at a time instead of trying to plan a month out or a week out,
Hmm.
and then that's kind of how I am now. Like I can't remember. There's a book, and I've recently quoted it. Um, but along the lines of the story, this kid's on a horse, and it's foggy. I legitimately can't remember the name of this book because it's going to irritate me the rest of the day. But kid's on a horse. It's foggy, and someone is asking him, uh, "Can you see, the end goal
Hmm.
or where they're supposed to go?" And kid says, "Hey, no, I can't see that far." Then ask him, "Hey, can you see the next step?"
Yeah.
And then, so he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "And then take the next step, and then the next step, and then the next step, slowly till you can get to your goal."
Yeah, that's the literal essence of our mountain and stepping stone goals that we guide people through,
Awesome.
that we do on our first calls and everything. You made me think about this. This is something that whenever I have a keynote or a presentation, kind of our framework, we have the clarity, confidence, composure, but it's like that's equivalent to vision,
Yeah.
preset, and reset. And all of that really does is it paints that crystal clear present picture for you,
Yeah.
gets you locked in, and sets you up for success, whatever that means and whatever that looks like,
Yeah.
whether that is a lesson that you got to learn from or if that's a dub on the board.
Absolutely.
Two L's make a dub. That's what I like to say.
that's that's one way to look at it. I've never heard that, but hey, I'm taking that. That's going in the back pocket.
Use it.
Yeah.
Where can people find you
Yeah.
if they ever
So,
got questions for you or anything else?
yeah. So I'm mainly active on Instagram.
Yeah.
It's the Charles Joseph 16. I'm on TikTok. I make TikToks. I like to run.
I
So I run in TikToks.
was gonna say you were running a
It's
pretty decent pace the other day.
Charles. Yeah, that sucked. Charles Joseph 1608, I believe, on TikTok. But yeah, that's. And then, if you guys are interested in training or anything, please feel free to shoot me a message. We can get something going.
Yeah, check them out. And if you like this mental performance playbook and our topics, check out us at tahtheathleteshealth.com. There's free resources for parents. Just get snapshots of maybe the biggest mental hurdle to train right now, weakness to train, athletes for the parent or for the athlete assessments. And then we always just do a free mental training session to anyone who needs it, who wants it, just so you can experience this. Because it's one thing to listen here.
Yeah.
It's another thing to actually get your own custom mental exercise. And that's why I love it. But we will catch you Monday for a one-on-one episode on the Mental Performance Playbook. And I hope all y'all have a good weekend. And thank you, CJ. This was great, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, man.
Cheers. All right. Yeah, this is also the
Yeah.
thumbnail. That's what I always do. Perfect.
All right. Well, I was gonna say, I can do closing remarks if you want me to. Is that cool if I do it?
Yeah.
All right. One of the big things that obviously being here and just obviously working a lot mentally, working with, and it's big now with athletes and mental health. Check in on your friends, man. You haven't talked to someone, hey, shoot them a text message. Say, hey, I'm still thinking about you. I hope everything's well. But I think we could all use a little encouragement here and there. So, hey, check in on your friends.